Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm not happy with them. Oh, hey,
It's a cloud.
right on time.
Blue line's moving.
Think about.
Okay, boom. Oh, I forgot to turn this on.
The cloud.
Right on time. And,
Blue line's moving.
and now we just press that. And that should be,
Well, you gotta go to the zone to mute it.
he said if you X that screen,
Oh,
that
it'll
would
do it?
stop that
Okay.
reverb.
Yeah, we don't hear it now.
Yeah, so let's see. What do you guys think I should do? Return to meeting?
There we go. We're good?
I
you
think
go.
so.
Okay. Read the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome, everyone. Run it over. Thanks for coming. This is a special meeting. We're just wanting to get some things straight about the plans for the park. We have to select the bid at the next meeting and decide what we're doing. And we had two different bids, one from Gary Up and one from Brown. Quite a bit of difference in the bids. And Brown was much cheaper than Gary. And we have Sawyer here tonight, and they're going to explain to us a little bit why it's such a difference, and also talk about what the actual amount of money we have, and we're not going to be able to do, I don't think, everything we wanted to do, but we're going to have to decide what to leave out. So at this point, I would ask the representative employer to go over the two bids with us and explain the huge difference between the bids to start with.
Okay, I'm Krista Hurley King with Troyer Group, landscape architect, project manager. The two bids that came in were from Brown and Brown. Brown and Brown had a base bid of $765,000. Their actual total, including all the alternates, was $994,600. I've got it written off to the side and I'm trying to decide if that's the.
I think with all the alternates,
Yeah.
it was like one,
so
two.
it's 30,400, that's why I've
It
got
was like
that.
1,200,000 something.
Yeah, 1,000,000, so 1,125,000.
Yeah, we didn't have enough left over to do all that because we've already went through.
Okay, so that's what we had left for the budget, okay. So then, and for the Gary Up construction one, their base bid was $967,500, a difference of $202,500. We'll just start with base bid. Your guys' total budget was $1,150,000. Minus the $125,000 for
You guys-
design costs, survey,
Project management.
all of the soft costs that have led us up to this point. So your total budget was $1,050,000. Okay, so that's where after the yeah, okay, so we won't go there yet. Okay, so then in alternate number one, Gary Up was $77,400 over the Brown and Brown price. Alternate number two, the campground bathhouse, they were $75,000 over the Brown and Brown price. Alternate number three were the two gatehouses. They were $39,100 over. And then the campground playground price, they were $88,800 over. What we can infer from this is that Gary Up is a large construction company. They're also located in Lake County. They have a lot more overhead. They have more of a formula that they have to follow while they're developing their estimates. They don't have as much wiggle room to to drop it or add more as a smaller group does. Brown and Brown is out of Wakarusa. They're smaller. The foreman who did the estimate, the project manager who did the estimate lives 10 minutes away. They really want this project because of that fact. They've worked in North Judson and in Culver. They're very familiar with the area. And the fact is they would like to get in as soon as they can. They want to throw all of their workforce at it and have multiple crews working at the same time for the winter.
So they can keep their whole crew, all their
Right.
crews working over the.
Exactly. And he did tell me that if this went back out to bid, the price would be much different because of the timing. And so that's why they are adamant that they feel like they really can get it done by Memorial Day, and that would be everything done by Memorial Day instead of next October.
And I think on one of the emails I thought I saw from you guys is that you had recommended which alternatives to go with and which ones to drop that would
Yes.
keep us within budget. And I think it was dropping the campground playground
The campground playground,
and the bathrooms on the beach side, not in the beach house, but on the
right,
beach side.
that the northern beach.
So that would keep the main project,
Yes.
the bathhouse, and then the two gatehouses.
Yes, and the reason
Within the
behind that too is after talking with, you saw the email last week about the grant requirements. So what they do when they fund the grant, we go through a whole approval process, an application process where they score our submission based on the scope of work. So for doing rain gardens, we got extra points because that's environmentally friendly. Using recycled plastic in our site furnishings gives us a point and that sort of stuff. So all of the ADA upgrades that we're doing that was the main focus behind the grant and what gave us the most points. The reason we chose the alternates that we did is because we still cover the majority of the points. And what we did learn from the grant administrator was that if all of the projects in any given year were not funded because they didn't have enough money, that this revisiting of our scope could require them to go back and re-rate it and could potentially lower our ranking. And if somebody else had more points after that switch, they could get our project, and they could just take all the funding away. So that's why it's really critical that we make sure that we get most of the point getters into this and not have a problem. But because the year that we were funded, everybody got funded, they had more than enough, they won't even go through the rating process, the re-rating. But it's definitely a good thing to know. That matters.
What I actually liked about the things you dropped is that now that we're gonna have the beach house redone and all the bathrooms that we're gonna have available in there isn't as much use as the one down further on the beach. I mean, and that one isn't a catastrophe, so it's
It's still
it's still
usable,
usable.
it just won't be ADA
Right.
accessible.
and we're gonna have the playground equipment in the beach side, so anybody in the campground, instead of just getting that.
There
Right.
is a handlebar and a bigger stall in the beach.
ADA bathroom in the ladies' room, I know.
I know,
The
yeah.
guys one has one too.
It's the.
What is an ADA bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
An
It's the
ADA
parking
bathroom
access.
has the required clearances for wheelchair maneuverability.
Which they have.
Has all of the proper heights for the urinals, for the counters, where all of your hand equipment is at a certain height. The doorway can't be more than a half an inch in difference. The handles have to be upgraded, all that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
we know we got handles in the bathroom, that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not to say that it's not used.
Well, and it's not something that we can't, I mean, if we go with your recommendation and skip the bathroom on the beach side, since we're gonna get all the new bathrooms in the beach house, and
Right,
then skip the playground equipment in the campground. I mean, there's campground equipment gonna be on the new beach side anyway, so.
right.
People will go from the campground to use the beach stuff,
Yeah.
people will not go from the beach to the campground to use.
Right.
You know, because that feels like
And-
private
and-
property.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why that was, I think, part of the original, the campground was included And the beach side was
Yes.
included in the beach house.
Well, and we wanna kind of, I know that the campground is the moneymaker, but because the beach serves more people and more population that are actually from Stark County, we wanna make sure we get those upgrades to them.
My main concern on the campground side was just the beach house and that's it, so
Yeah.
Because everybody uses the beach house.
that's part of your recommendation. is to do
Exactly.
that.
Question, it's one step back, and you guys probably know, do the two base bids cover all the mandatory things? Cause I know that was gonna be looked at.
They
Yeah.
do,
They do, okay.
yes. But with the second, the Gary up one, we wouldn't be able to, we would only be able to take one other alternate.
So the
Based on
choice,
that
the
price.
choice that we have to make as a park board, right, is to pick the contractor and then decide whether we want to go with your guys' recommendation to
Yes.
do things to drop. We can do that. I think. Can't we, or do we have to wait for the meeting Tuesday? I'm not sure, since this is a regular, I mean, it is a meeting
It is a
I
meeting.
think we can decide what we're gonna do and then announce it at the next.
at the next meeting, if you want to do that.
that.
Well, I also wanted to add too that by going with Brown and Brown, we still have $30,400 left over from getting those alternates as a contingency, which is always, we have contingency built.
The change requests are gonna come in, so.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then we can add maybe some of the things in the house that we
Confused
want
here.
or something.
If we leave out the beach restroom and the campground playground, doesn't that leave us 55,000?
No, it leaves us 30,400. Are you telling me my math is wrong?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay,
You told us we had 1,050,000,
yes.
and when I add up everything besides those two, I get
Oh, okay,
1,025,000. 1,025,000.
Yeah, because it was 150 and we took out 125, so it's 1,025,000.
Okay,
Sorry,
that will do it then.
that'll do it.
Yeah, we're down to.
Well, we still have enough money to do all those things.
Yeah, so we have 30,400.
Well, enough to
30,000.
maybe cover some change.
Are
requests.
you, have you worked with Brown and Brown?
We have, yeah,
So you're satisfied with them?
yeah, we definitely. They're very flexible.
Actually, I had Brown and Brown in Warsaw when I was over there too, and they do good work.
Okay.
They're really good.
Better than get somebody you don't know what their work is
Absolutely.
when you're bringing them in.
And another question I had is, when I talked to Amy, in the base bid for the beach house, it did include a roof.
Right,
Would we be able to do a roof with this now? or not?
yes,
Okay,
that 30,400 could go towards.
As long as something else doesn't pop up.
Right, and I was gonna say too, we kind of talked about insulation a little.
right.
And that we might want to, when the walls are demolished or whatever, have Brown and Brown do the insulation while it's all torn apart. And then that way we can come back later and add heating and cooling if we want.
Right.
And I think that might be,
I mean, I think the roof's pretty important.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Or at least to make sure we get someone examine the roof and see how many more years are left on
Right.
it and see if we really.
or even if we finish by Memorial Day and then we just hire someone to do
Well,
it.
let's table this discussion for another, after we've awarded the contract.
Okay,
Because we're not gonna change any of that
Good.
before we
Before.
award the contract.
Right,
Does
okay.
okay.
that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, we don't wanna get ahead of ourselves.
right, well, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, that's a
And
very
then
good point.
I was also concerned about, at some point, someone brought up that when they started looking at the sewage from the the beach house,
Mhm.
there was a problem there somehow.
Yes, well, we are unknown about, we were able to scope from the beach house out to 10 feet. Beyond where the pipes go outside the building walls, and we were able to track the location of the storm. Or the sanitary piping for certain ways, and they could see where it bellied out in parts, so it's not a nice slope. It bellies out, but then to one point, it was just crushed and they couldn't get the camera through. So that was, they had to make an assumption on where that ended up going through, and we have replaced that part of it. But beyond 10 feet out, we don't know where it connects, and we're making an assumption based on past people's knowledge.
So you're assuming it connects to something.
yes.
So when you say, oh, you know,
Because the beach house up at the north connects to the beach house, so the beach restaurants at the north connect towards the beach house, and then those two then come together and connect across the street to the campground.
right, and the beach bathrooms have been used all summer and didn't seem to back
Mhm.
anything else up, so.
So we
it's a good
can
sign.
infer that it is working at least to some capacity,
Okay, and then all of that goes into our lift station.
yes, which I have no control over in this project.
Right. And when we remodeled the bathhouse, are we gonna have more restrooms than we did previously?
No,
In the campground, no, it's.
no, and the beach bathhouse, no, and in the
Yeah.
campground, no,
So we're not gonna
no,
put more strain on the
no,
lift station.
right.
Okay.
Well, except for the beach house itself, it hadn't been used as
It
bad.
Well,
hasn't
yeah.
been used in
So,
years,
so that.
but we
will
aren't
put it,
adding more
We're not
bathrooms.
adding.
Right. Then, well, whatever was there the last time it was used.
Yeah.
But
So I've heard for a while now that the sanitary sewer pipes beyond the project are the problem. And that's you guys are working with the county on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole different issue.
It is.
Any thoughts from anyone?
no, I'm just, I think, well, based on what we're talking about,
Mhm.
the only contractor that we can really go with is Brown and Brown
Right.
as far as cost. And I buy the reasoning why they wanna throw their whole crew at to keep got people working over
But
the
they don't
winter,
lose their people.
you know, so I mean,
And it's done by Memorial Day.
And I think it only
Yeah,
makes
which
sense
is
to
nice.
do
Very
everything
nice.
except the beach bathroom
and
and the campground playground.
Right.
I think those are the two.
Well, the campground playground has to come down.
It would be highly recommended that we do take the equipment that is there down. But that is up to you.
And that's not a decision we have to make right
Right
now.
now you need a
Well, if it's
contract.
in the cost.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, it wasn't.
And again, after-
If we don't go with that, I imagine it was in the cost of putting
I
that,
thought there was a lawsuit could be
Well, there-
involved. Somebody got-
I'm sure it was involved in the price of that campground or the playground equipment going in there, but if we're not doing that
No,
alternative.
yes. So what happens is if you knowingly know that a playground is not up to date and there is an accident, it could open you up to liability.
Right.
There, I've said it on the record.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't this stuff though that, I mean, we settle and get, well, you guys settle, we're just getting, you guys settle and get a contractor now. I mean, like demolition of the playground set, I hate to say it,
But
but
that can be done outside of this, because we're not even going. with
outside
that
the grant, I mean,
Yeah.
can't the county or come out of the budget of the, the park board to do stuff
Well,
like that?
yeah, because we're not going with that alternative,
Yeah,
so.
so I mean.
so we're not touching it now, so we aren't required by law to upgrade it.
Right.
Okay.
If we're not messing with it, we aren't required.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
So, but I would like to, also along the same lines of whether or not a roof is an idea or anything else. The playground, campground playground can be modified in its design and you could, work directly with the vendor. You wouldn't have markup. They have programs where you don't have to go out to bid because it's, sourced through these co-op buyers, that all of that's been vetted. And so you get the competitive price already from the vendor. So there are options for that kind of thing. And also volunteer work, and you don't have to put in the concrete curves for the encasement if so there are ways to not make it as expensive.
okay.
So-
Are we good? or-
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I know that the contractor was wanting some, whoever gets picked,
Yeah.
would want some direction.
Yes.
And so if we can at least let them know that we expect to approve them next week, or how do we do that?
Well, I think at the next meeting, we announced that we're gonna accept Brown's bid, and then we're going to, say, we're going with everything except those two alternatives.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that would be good enough for them,
Do
that would be
that
enough
At
time.
that point, and
And
then,
I'll come next week with a letter that
Okay.
provides you with our recommendation,
Okay,
and you can act upon that letter,
that would be good.
okay?
and then at some point, if we decide we wanna talk to them about a roof, we can just,
Oh, yeah, then it can be a change order in the project.
very good.
Are
Okay, anybody
there
else?
any restrictions on that extra 30,000 that was gonna be left over? Any
Yeah.
restrictions, based on like the grant process, where you have to put it toward, you have to use it or lose it?
Yeah, you have to use it or lose it.
What
But
time frame?
I wouldn't be worried about losing it
You know,
because
use
it's
it
a
on something.
construction project.
Yeah, I
But
just
yeah, no,
wondered if there was,
you can't take it and now go buy yourself a new shed for the county highway department. So no,
It's gotta be part
it's
of the.
gotta
part.
be part of the project.
Part of
Yes, yeah,
linked to the project.
yes, yeah.
Okay. We need to discuss anything else?
I think so.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much. Officially, Gary's always got. No, no, I know. I mean,